Welcome back, everybody, to AHSAA TV Weekly. We are thrilled to be joined right now with Kim Vickers, AHSAA Associate Executive Director and Director of Volleyball. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Susan. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Well, I understand that you moved into a new role last year, the new role being Associate Executive Director. So tell us a little bit about how that transition has gone and what your responsibilities are.
Sure, I'll be glad to. Yes, when Mr. Alvin Briggs became the executive director back last summer of 21, he asked me to fill his former position as the associate executive director. So, of course, I readily agreed to do so. So, I have been in that position now for a little over a year. And our transition following Mr. Steve Savarese has been very smooth. You know, Alvin has worked right on into that position as the executive director, and working along with him has been a smooth transition. Been a little unusual for me because I am the first woman to ever hold that position. So that's been different. All these years, it's been a male and been a minority male. So I'm the first woman to have the position. So that's been a little transition, but it's been a good transition over the past year. And, you know, I'm looking forward to hopefully staying in the role for a few more years until retirement, maybe.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, your other role is that you are Director of Volleyball. And, even though it feels like we just started the fall sports season, we're actually looking toward all the championship playoffs and volleyball tournaments are about to begin. So tell us a little bit about the process of the volleyball tournaments that are about to start.
Okay. Yeah, we are actually getting ready. Next week starts our postseason play with the area tournament occurring first, and then our regional tournaments are the week after, and then the state finals the week after that. And I totally agree that it feels like we have just started, but I feel more so that we just finished last year's season and now we're about to complete this year's season. Time just goes by way too fast. But volleyball in the state of Alabama has grown tremendously over the years. And it's you mentioned earlier on pre-show that it was one of the fastest growing sports across the nation, and it is. This year, as a matter of fact, volleyball was just second in number of participation for our females athletes, just second to track and field. So that's been a great accomplishment for our volleyball programs. But in the state of Alabama, every year, and I know since I've been here in 2014, the volleyball participation has increased every year slightly, whether it's 100 participants up to 200 or 300 participants. And we're just counting grades 9 through 12. We don't count our middle school players in those numbers. So if you add those in there, it's even larger than that. But volleyball is a huge sport in the state.
It sure is, and I keep hearing that. So, Kim, what do you think it is that makes volleyball so special, especially right now?
Well, one of the things, and I was a former coach, but I coached softball, but both my girls played volleyball. And sitting on the outside, watching them as a parent participate in the sport of volleyball, the team camaraderie and the relationships that they build with one another, because the sport is so much teamwork because one person can't play the game. Like in softball, a girl can hit the ball or she can throw the ball or make the play. But in volleyball, it basically takes three players every time you make a play. So that relationships and the bond they create in the sport is very tight. But I'm also going to have to give a little shout out to our coaches. We have an outstanding group of men and women that coach our volleyball programs, and the life lessons that they teach through that sport have a major impact on these young ladies' lives. And I think that has a big part of it as well. And young girls want to be part of that. They see it from the outside, and they admire it, and they grow up thinking one day I want to be part of that. So that has a lot to do with it as well. And then too, volleyball is one of our best sports for sportsmanship. The sportsmanship that comes from our coaches and players are just above and beyond.
Well, that is wonderful. Kim, thank you so much for your work there at AHSAA and for joining us today. We will all be following along as these state tournaments progress. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for having me.